Welcome. We have another interesting case for you. This took place in 1978 at Fort Dix, which is adjacent to McGuire Air Force Base, just southeast of Trenton, New Jersey. Now, we have shared cases with you regarding UFOs intruding on Air Force bases, but this is a bit more unique in that it potentially involves occupants of these craft. This report comes from a ufologist by the name of Richard H. Hall. Hall was an author and researcher who preferred the scientific method approach as opposed to the sensationalist, even religious connotation the subject was known for at the time, what he referred to as fringe ufology. Now, he worked for NICAP, the National Investigations Committee on Aerial Phenomenon, which was one of the first groups to lobby the U.S. Congress to hold hearings and investigate the UFO phenomenon, as assistant director to Donald Keyhoe, also a well-known UFO researcher. He wrote 2 volumes of UFO books called the UFO Evidence, which was a collection of UFO cases, which he also submitted to Congress. He authored books on other subjects as well, including the role of women in the American Civil War. This particular case comes from volume 2 of the UFO Evidence books. For this case, Mr. Hall met and interviewed Sergeant Jeff Morse, a pseudonym, several times. Morse was an airman on duty at the time when New Jersey State Police were getting access to McGuire Air Force Base due to an MP pursuing a low-flying object. Early in the morning, January 18th, 1978, glowing spheres buzzed the U.S. Army's Fort Dix and the adjacent McGuire Air Force Base. Some hours later, a military policeman was pursuing a low-flying object that had hovered over his car. Then a small being with large head and slender body appeared in front of his car. The MP panicked and shot the alien several times with a .45 automatic. The being fled over the fence between the 2 bases before falling and dying on the deserted runway. A sergeant on duty and other soldiers found the body lying on the runway and roped off the area of the crime scene. The sergeant told Hall that under the glare of truck headlights, the skin of the unclad, hairless body was wet, shiny, and snake-like. As reported in his initial letter, the entity was about 4 feet in height, with large head, slender torso, thin arms and legs, and overall, a grayish-brown coloration. Unquestionably, not human. It was, however, of humanoid stature. Attributed to the presence of the body was a strong smell of pneumonia in the cold night air. This same odor has been present at other crash sites. Now, the sergeant adamantly stated that a UFO had not crashed or disabled nearby, requiring close tactical air support. But what of a landed craft, perhaps one that touch-landed earlier at Fort Dix? Could have deployed one or more of its kind to perform a duty forever unknown? Sitting alone in his patrol car not far from the alien corpse, the sergeant received word by radio that a state of alert was in effect at McGuire as a result of the shooting incidents. The sergeant said it was maximum security. At least a dozen men armed with M16s were assigned to guard at the ropes, and no one was allowed to enter except the base commander, the security police squadron commander, First Lieutenant W.S., initials obviously, of the security police squadron, and base photographer. Unidentified specialists wearing blue berets arrived to quote-unquote spray the corpse from a portable tank and cover it with a white sheet. Before daybreak, the body was carefully placed onto a platform and a wooden frame built around it. This was finally placed in a large square silver metal container about 10 by 10 feet with undistinguishable blue markings. The sergeant and others watched the silver box forklifted into a C-141, a 4-engine cargo jet known as the Starlifter, which arrived around 7 a.m. from Wright-Patterson Air Force Base, which is actually indicated by special markings on the plane. And later, at a distance, he said he watched the plane and its secret cargo soar aloft into limbo, presumed destination Dayton, Ohio. And of course, the witnesses were warned not to talk about the incident or they would be court-martialed. 2 days later, Morse and other witnesses were taken to Wright-Patterson Air Force Base, Ohio, where they underwent intimidating interrogation and were again warned not to talk about the incident. Ultimately, Morse reported, "I signed a form and it was supposed to bind me for life." Soon after the incident and interrogation, Morse was shipped off to another base in Okinawa. Hall went on to report that Morse was harassed regarding this incident, and when he started to look for work within law enforcement, he had extreme difficulty finding employment. So there it is, guys. That is Robert Hall's report. I hope you found this interesting, and I will see you on the next one.